Assalamu alaikum. So we're going to start our lecture for today. And as I told you guys, we're going to begin with the book that is entitled Writing Sentence Skills. You need to bring the book, please, from Al Amiriya bookshop. You cannot manage the course without having the book, simply because it's applicable. It's a book in which you need to do lots of application. Therefore, you cannot manage it without having the book. Get it as soon as possible, please. Now, the first topic we're going to study is subjects and verbs. And these are the very two basic units that would make any sentence. You can never get a sentence if you don't have a verb, first a subject, then a verb. If one of the two is missing in your sentence, then your sentence is incorrect and it cannot be called even a sentence. It shall be called a fragment, which is a bad thing to be used in your writing. Now, so every sentence has a subject and has a verb. The subject is the doer of the verb. And the verbs, if you remember in yesterday's class, I just explained the several kinds of verbs we may have in English language. We divided them first into two big sections: the main verbs and then the helping verbs. The main verbs can be divided into two parts: the action and then the state verbs. We said that action verbs show us action, movement, like run, swim, eat, go. And the state verb either show us feeling, like, hate, resent, dislike, feel, or perception, what happens inside your mind, recognize, understand, know, believe, think, or wants and needs. You say I want, I need, I prefer. So these are the main verbs. Then we move to the helping verbs, and they are four families. Be family with its members: am, is, are, was, were. And then do family, do, does, that. And then we talked about have family, have, has, had. And finally the modals: will, would, can, could, shall, should, may, might, must, ought to, have to or has to, and then had to. And we said every verb, every action or state verb, when it visits any of the helping verb, it's going to abide to its rules and conditions. So if a verb, an action verb, visits be family, then it should carry ing. So he is swimming, ing. Whereas a state verb is refused, kicked out, it's not welcomed. So you cannot say I am loving, but you say I love. You cannot say she is wanting a cup of coffee, but she wants. Okay? If a verb would visit the do family, then it should be a base verb. That is the verb as it is without any addition. I do understand. I do read the lesson. Okay? Then have family, you need after it verb 3. I have felt that. She has understood the lesson. And finally the modals also shall be followed by base verbs. So I can read, I can feel, I shall understand, I shall help them, she will need this stationery, or so on. Okay? Now that was a quick revision for what we took last time. Now if you look at the sentences here, guys, we have 4 sentences and they are very short sentences. People gossip. You know the meaning of the word gossip? Talk about each other. So I meet Sarah, so we talk together. Then I meet Miriam, I talk to Sarah, I talk to Miriam about Sarah, and I may say bad or good things about her. That's gossiping. They say that girls like to gossip more than males. Yani females love to gossip. They say, maybe it's a rumor. Now people gossip. So here we have 2 parts. As you can notice, guys, I used the highlighters to color each subject with yellow and each verb with pink. Now, people is the subject, and then gossip is the verb. If I ask you what sort of verb is it, as we took the map yesterday, you would tell me it's an action verb, because when you gossip, your mouth is moving. Okay, so there is a movement. So people is the subject and gossip is the verb. The truck stalled. You know what's a stalled? يعني stopped moving properly because it's loaded heavily, lots of loads over there. So it stops moving. Now what stops moving? The truck. So the truck is the subject, the doer. What happened to that doer? Stalled, stopped. Then he waved at me. He is the doer. He is the one who did the action. What did he do? Waved at me, like saying goodbye to me or hello, using his hand. That woman is a millionaire, mashallah. Who is a millionaire? Woman. So woman is the subject and is the verb. Now when we say that woman, some people would say, why won't we say that? Which word is more important to carry the meaning, that or woman? Absolutely woman. Okay? The truck, which word is more important? The article the, or truck that carries the meaning? It's the truck. So how can I identify a subject in a sentence? Simply by saying who or what. So people gossip. Who gossip? People. The truck stalled. What stalled or stopped? The truck. He waved at me. Who waved at me? He. That woman is a millionaire. Who is a millionaire? That woman. Therefore, if I get the answer for the question who or what the sentence says something about, then absolutely the answer is the subject of this sentence. I hope it's clear. Now to find the verb, you need to ask yourself what the sentence says about the subject. Now the subject is people. What does the sentence say about people? They gossip. Okay? You can replace people with they, and you say they gossip. What does the sentence say about the truck? It stalled. So it's telling us stalled. What does the sentence tell us about him? What did he do? Waved at me. What does the sentence tell us about the woman? Is a millionaire. She is a millionaire. So the verb is what the sentence tells us about. Okay? You can find this in your books, page number 3. I told you to skip the first attached papers and worksheets and just move to the section that says grammar, subjects, and verbs. Okay? Now, that's a practice number 1 in your book. As you can see, I answered part of them, and you need to answer the rest. If you don't practice, you won't be good enough. I know some of you find this very easy, but some of you don't. So you need to follow and to do everything, even if you find them easy, because just repeating and doing things over and over with much kind of perception and understanding, this is going to help you for the long term. Now, in the following sentences, we have verbs that are underlined twice, but each sentence misses a subject, who or what, okay? So we need to suggest some subjects for these sentences. The shouted. Who shouted? Who? Suggest someone that shouted. Usually children shouted, or the angry woman shouted, or that man shouted. Okay, so it's your choice. Just your choice should be a noun or a pronoun that refers to the doer of the action. Who did that action of shouting? Children, little girl, that boy, the angry man, whatever. Give me a stereo receiver as a birthday present. Suggest anyone who gave you a birthday present. So who gave you a birthday present? My sister, my friend, Susan, Lucy, that girl, whatever you like. So here I suggest my friend. That slipped out of my hand and fell into a puddle. So what is slipped out of my hand and fell down? A letter, my mobile, the letter, the mirror, the bag, purse, anything you like. So letter is a thing, not a human being. So the sentence tells us something about what is slipped, not who. If it's for a person, then we can say who, like who shouted? The children. Who gave you the birthday gift? The friend. But what slipped? Because it's a thing, not a human being, not a person. So we say letter. Using matches, you know what are matches? The things that you use in order to lit a cigarette or whatever. So Mary lit up the gas stove, uh, the cooker stove. So who lit up the gas stove? Mary, my mom. You suggest any subject you like. The bags must be emptied, and here we have a long verb. Must from the modal family, be from be family. Emptied is the main verb. That's what I taught you yesterday, if you remember. Now please, if you have the book, you need to finish the rest of the exercises 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. That's in practice 1. That is in practice 1. Okay? Now let's move to something else, which is practice number 2. In practice number 2, it says underline the subjects in the following sentences. Verbs have already been underlined twice. Now, how do I find the subject? I ask myself who or what. So when it says most students took 1 hour to finish the essay exam. Who took 1 hour? Who? Then you would answer students. You would answer students. Okay? So students is the verb. Some people would say the most. Is it which one is better to say most took 1 hour or students took 1 hour? Which word carries the meaning of the sentence? The word students. So therefore students is the subject. Now when we say my socks were thin after only 3 months. After you wash them, sometimes the socks they get thinner and thinner. Then you throw them away and you need to buy new ones, right? So my socks were thin. What were thin after only 3 months? What? So the socks. Okay? Now Melanie has driven her car across the country on 3 separate occasions. Who has driven her car? Who? The answer is Melanie. So Melanie is the noun, it is the subject. The windstorm blew over the storage shed in the backyard. What blew over the storage shed? You know what's a shed? A very small like cottage that you may have in the backyard as a kind of a store for all things or some kind of animals or whatever. So what blew over the storage? The windstorm. So windstorm, we consider it to be the subject. The video game was played by the entire family. Do you hear? Say who was played or what was played by the family? Then you would say video game. Therefore video game is the subject, and video game is a compound word. That's why some people would say, doctor, why didn't we take game only? Because it's a compound word. In video game becomes like one compound word, even though it's separate, even though we have a space between video and game. I hope this is clear enough now. Now your assignment, it's not an assignment that you need to send back to me, but it's something that you need to do in order to check that you really understood or not. 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. Okay, let's move to practice 3 that says in the following sentences the subjects are underlined, the verbs have been omitted. Fill in your own verbs to make the sentences complete. Sentence 1. I spaced an entire pizza by myself. So I ate. I can't think of any other verb to set the sentence here, because once you see the pizza you just move on eating. Barracuda, and that's a kind of fish, in that lake. You know what's a lake? Like a pond, okay? So barracuda was seen, swam, appeared. You can choose any verb you like that makes sense. Clyde down to the playground with his son. So Clyde is a name of a person, and we get to know that he did an action with his son going to the playground. So maybe they walked, maybe they ran, maybe they went. Okay, so you choose the verb that suits this kind of sentence. Sally, the biology test, alhamdulillah. I want to be very optimistic, and I use the verb past because I know that all students love to pass exams. So I don't want to be pessimistic and say Sally failed the biology test, although the verb works in this sentence, but I want something that makes you feel happy. So I chose passed the biology test. Okay? Now you finish the rest with 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and 10. Okay? Now, please, you have to do them. Don't just depend on the parts that I did for you. You need to do that yourself. Okay? Let's move on with the practice number. Practice number 4. That's on page 6 in your book. It says draw a double line under the verb in the following sentences. Subjects have been underlined. Remember that you find the verb by asking what sentence says about the subject. So Barbara, malha Barbara. What's wrong with Barbara? What do we say about her? She believes. She believes in extrasensory perception, like having the sixth sense. People have 5 senses, but some other people, they have extra sense. So Barbara believes. So she, you can say she what? She what? She believes. So therefore believes is the verb for the subject Barbara. Most of my friends, okay, most of my friends what? Like my new hairstyle. Like my new hairstyle. So they what? They like. So if I change or replace most of my friends with a pronoun, I can say they. They what? Tell me something about them. They what? They like my new hairstyle, spiky or whatever, especially for the males. The drawer of the bureau sticks on rainy days. So what do I tell about the drawer? Sticks. It sticks. Okay? Now, the sun reflecting off the lake blinded my eyes. So the sun what? What did it do? Blinded my eyes. So I cannot see. You know, when you look at the sun for a long time directly, then you shift your gaze to something else. You feel like everything is black and you can't comprehend and see. Okay? So you need to finish the rest of the exercises in practice number 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 as well. Okay? Now we're going to move to practice 5, which says in each of the following sentences, draw 1 line under the subject and 2 lines under the verb. Ask who or what the sentence is about in order to find the subject, and ask what the sentence says about this subject in order to find the verb. So here I chose again 2 different highlighters in order to distinguish between the subject and the verb. So for the subject I use the color yellow, and for the verb I use the color pink. So Carol works for a candlestick maker. Who works for a candlestick maker? Who? Carol. Therefore Carol is the subject. We underline it once. What does the sentence tell us about Carol? She what? Works. Therefore works is the what? Is the verb. Okay? My Timex watch never loses time. Timex, this is the brand, the name of the brand. So what never loses time? What never loses time? It's the watch. Therefore watch is the subject. What does the sentence say about the subject, the watch? It what? It never loses time. So the verb is loses. His car broke down on the freeway. Can I say, ask here with who or with what? Can I say who broke down on the freeway or what broke down on the freeway? Because it's a thing, not a person, then absolutely I'm going to ask with what. So what broke down on the freeway? The car. Therefore car is the subject. What does the sentence tell me about his car? It what? It broke. So I know that it broke. Therefore, broke is the verb. Cotton shirts feel softer than polyester ones. What feels softer than polyester ones? What? The shirts. Therefore, the shirts is the subject. Do I talk about cotton or shirts as the main word that carries the meaning? The word that carries the meaning more is the word shirts. Now, they what? They what? What does the sentence tell me about cotton shirts? Feel softer. Therefore, feel is the verb of this sentence. The fog rolled into the cemetery. Now, what rolled into the cemetery? The fog. What does the sentence tell me about the fog? It what? It rolled. Therefore, rolled is the verb. You finish the rest of the exercises. Now, we're going to move to distinguishing subjects from prepositional phrases, and you should learn this term, prepositional phrases. Prepositions in English, they equal what we call in Arabic حروف الجر, and after حروف الجر in Arabic we have what we call اسم مجرور. Same thing applies here in English. We have preposition and it's followed by the object of the preposition, which equates in Arabic الاسم المجرور. But in English we have way more number of prepositions than what we have in Arabic. In Arabic there are a few ones, but in English we do have many and many of the prepositions. Among the most used and common prepositions in English are these ones: about, above, across, among, around, at, before, behind, below, beneath, beside, between, by, during, except, for, from, in, inside, into, of. Now if it's with one F, we read it of. If it's with double F, we read it off. On, onto, out, over, past, through, to, toward, under, and with. Are these all the English prepositions? No. As you can read above, it says a list of common prepositions. Common means that the ones that are most used in the English language. طيب, why are they giving us prepositional phrases if our lesson today, our lecture today, is about subjects and verbs? To tell you that whenever you find a prepositional phrase, the preposition حرف الجر with its noun الاسم المجرور, delete them in your search for the subject and in your search for the verb. So if you delete them, then it's easier for you to know where is the subject and where is the verb. Let's have a look at this example. Under my pillow, I found a quota left by the tooth fairy. That's something that people used to believe in, that if one of your teeth falls because it's time you grow up, then under your pillow a fairy would come and put you $1 or a sum of money, as if to say for you, don't be sad that you lost one of your teeth. That's a gift for you, or this is something that you take as a compensation, which is funny actually. Anyway, let's remove all the prepositional phrases in the sentence and see what is left in this sentence. Under is a preposition. تكملتها under my pillow. Remove it. Then, by is a preposition. And what comes after it? By the tooth fairy. So you remove that. What is left from the sentence after I remove prepositional phrases? I'm left with I found a quarter. So, who found a quarter? I. So I is the subject. I what? What happened? What does the sentence say about me? Found. So found is the verb. Look at the second example. One of the yellow lights at the school crossing began flashing. Let's remove all prepositional phrases from this sentence. Of is a prepositional phrase. Of the yellow lights, we remove it. At is a preposition. At the school. Crossing, so we remove them all. We are left with one, began flashing. So, what began flashing? One. So one is the subject. One what? What happens to one? Began flashing. Okay? The funny pages of the newspaper disappeared. So what does the sentence say about the, where is the prepositional phrase in this sentence? First find the preposition. Of. Of is the preposition. تكملتها of the newspaper. Remove it. Once you remove it, what is left from the sentence? The funny pages disappeared. So, what disappeared? What? The funny pages. Pages, specifically the word pages. So, pages becomes the subject of the sentence. The pages what? They what? What happened to them? They what? Disappeared. Therefore, disappeared is the verb. Okay? Let's move to the sentence after. In spite of my efforts, Bob dropped out of school. Let's remove all prepositional phrases from this sentence. Now, in spite of تكملتها my efforts, I remove them. Look at the end of the sentence. Of is a preposition and its noun is school. We remove that. What is left from the sentence? Bob dropped out. Bob is the subject and it dropped out is the verb. Who dropped out? Bob. What happened to Bob? Bob what? He what? He dropped out. Now the last example we have is the following. During a rainstorm, I sat in my car reading magazines. Now, where is the first preposition? During, and take its noun. So, during a rainstorm, remove it. Where is the second prepositional phrase? In, with its noun in my car, remove it. What is left from the sentence? I sat reading a magazine. So, who sat reading a magazine or magazines? I. Therefore, I is the subject. I what? Sat. Therefore, sat is the verb. This is a very helpful way for you to know that removing prepositional phrases would help you to find and specify the subject and the verb as well. Okay? I hope it's clear enough. Now this exercise asks you to cross out prepositional phrases, remove them, delete them from the sentence. Then draw a single line under subjects and a double line under verbs. The first circle in each sentence will be the subject, the second circle in each sentence will be the verb. But first, we need to cross out, to remove all the prepositional phrases. The attractive woman over there in the corner is my former wife. The previous one, which means he married again. And we don't know if he regrets that or not. But he has to regret it actually. Now, because he said attractive woman, which means he regrets leaving her. Anyway, this is out of the context now. Over there, over is one of the prepositions. So over there we remove it. Another preposition in what? In the corner, we remove it. We are left with the attractive woman is my former wife. So who is my former wife? The attractive woman, specifically woman. The word woman carries the meaning. So woman is the subject. What does the sentence tell me about the woman? She what? Is my former wife. So is the verb of the sentence. The dishes in the sink must be washed before tomorrow. So maybe sisters are fighting who is going to wash the dishes now. So let's remove all the prepositional phrases in the sentence. First, in the sink. In is the preposition with its noun, the sink. You know what sink? Like المجلة المغسلة. So in the sink we remove it. And then also we need to remove before tomorrow, but I forgot. Because before is a preposition and tomorrow is its noun. So I remove before tomorrow. What is left from the sentence? The dishes must be washed. What must be washed? The dishes. There are 4 dishes is the subject of the sentence. What does the sentence tell me about the dishes? They what? Must be washed. Now, if we have a look, guys, at must be washed, according to the lesson I gave to you yesterday, you'll find the following. First, must belongs to which family? I will tell you. It belongs to the helping verbs modal family. Then it's followed by a base verb, which is be, from be family. Okay? And then we have washed, which is a main verb. Fine? Let's move to sentence number 3. Both of my house keys are missing. So we remove of my house. No, okay. Here is a mistake in this sentence. It seems I did not pay much attention to it when I did it. Maybe I did it in a fast way, so I'm sorry. It's wrong because the subject is both. Because when I remove the prepositional phrase, the preposition is of, and of تكملتها of my house keys. I remove it all. So what should be left from the sentence? Both are missing. So please fix this mistake. I'm sorry, I just noticed it right now in front of you. So both are missing. What are missing? Both. Therefore, both is the subject. What does the sentence tell me about both are missing? So are is the verb. Okay? Do you understand why it's both, not keys? Because keys follows the preposition of. So when I delete the of, the preposition of with its complement, then I delete it up to the word keys. Now let's move to number 4. The hamburger on sale at 89 a pound looks several days old. Now I cross out the prepositional phrase on sale. On is a preposition and sale it's noun. At 89 pound, at is the preposition and pound it's noun. So I delete them all. And the sentence is left like the hamburger looks several days old. What looks several days old? What? The answer is hamburger. Okay? And then if you look at the second sentence, in the middle of the movie, the screen suddenly went black. Let's remove the prepositional phrase in the middle. Again, another preposition of the movie. Remove them. What is left from the sentence? The screen suddenly went black, unfortunately. So, what suddenly went black? The screen. So the screen is the subject. It what? What happened to the screen? Went black. So went is the verb. Okay? So this is a very helpful way that helps you, especially in the exams, to decide where is the subject and where is the verb, removing or crossing out the prepositional phrases from your sentences. Fine? Now, we're going to move to verbs of more than one word. If you look here, guys, this is the rule I taught you yesterday. We may have a helping verb from any family, be family, do family, have family, or models family. And then it can be followed by the main verb, with whether the verb is action verb or whether it's state verb. So we can have talk as a verb, only talk. But I can have were from be family, followed by verb ing talking. Or will from models family, followed by be from be family, followed by talking ing, the main verb. Talks, have talked, this is have family. Must talk, this is models family. Does talk, this is do family. Has talked, have family. Would talk, base family. Models family. Is talking, is from be family. Had talked, have family. Can talk, models family. Are talking, be family. Had been talking, had, and then be family, and then ing. Should have talked, should from models, have from have family, then verb 3 talked from the main verbs. Talked verb 2 in the past, should talk modals, could be talking could modals, be from be family talking the verb with ing. This is to tell you that sometimes the verb is not only one word, but it can be more than one word in case we're having a helping verb in front of the verb, whether it's one helping verb or more than one helping verb. So, following are sentences that contain verbs of more than one word. So, Diane is not working overtime this week. The verb is and working. Another book has been written. Has, then been, then the main verb written. We should have stopped for gas at the last station. Should, modals family, followed by have, from have family, followed by verb 3, main verb. The game has just been cancelled. So we have has, then been, then the main verb cancelled. Note the words in between parts of the verb like just, never, ever, only, always. They are not part of the verb. Don't do that mistake and don't underline them with the verb. Even not. Not is not a part of the verb. Like in the first sentence, Diane is not working. So not is not a part of the verb. Just, only, has, already, just, they are not part of the verb. So don't mistake this thing. Now, practice. Draw a single line, underline subjects, and a double line under verbs. Be sure to include all parts of the verb. Now again, guys, I colored the subject with the pink and the verb with yellow this time. He has been sleeping all day. Who has been sleeping all day? He. So he is the subject. He what? Has been sleeping all day. So has been sleeping is the verb that consists of two parts. Has, which is from have family, been from be family, and the sleeping verb with ing. Therefore, the verb here comes in 3 words. He is lucky to sleep, to have been sleeping for the whole day. He is so lucky. The wood foundations of the shed have been attacked by termites. They are kind of ants that keep eating the wood. So, what have been attacked by the termites? The foundation. Remember when we said remove the prepositional phrase? Get rid of the shed. Remove of the shed. It's removed. What we are left with, the wood foundations. I talk about specifically the foundations, the bases, where the termites eat them over there. Attack them and eat them. So, what happened to the foundations? They what? Have been attacked. So we have the verb have from have family, been from be family, and attacked is the main verb. Now Sally should have gone Christmas shopping earlier. Who should have gone Christmas shopping earlier? Sally. Therefore Sally is the subject. Should have gone. Sally what? What do I say about Sally? I say about her that she should have gone. We have should from modals family, have from have family, and gone verb 3 from the main verb. The teacher had not warned us about the quiz. Who had not warned us about the quiz? Who? The teacher. Therefore, teacher is the subject. Had not warned. I did a mistake here because I highlighted not, and I've just told you do not consider not as a verb, as a part of the verb. So where is the verb here? Had and warned. Remove not please. Now Carol and Arnie have both received. Who have received raises in their salaries? نيالهم. Carol and Arnie. So Carol and Arnie are the subject of the sentence. What happened to them? They what? They what? They have received. So the verb is have with verb 3 received. Okay? You need guys to finish the rest. of the sentences. Okay, and now up to sentence number 10. Now we will move to something that we call compound subjects and verbs. What does the word compound mean? Compound is to bring more than one thing together. So you have more than one thing brought together, most of the time using and. Okay? So, sometimes in the first group, the one here I chose for you in orange, in the color orange, we have more than one verb for each sentence. Not one verb, but 2 or 3 or more verbs. My heart skipped and pounded. So my heart what? What do I say about my heart? Skipped, pounded. So I use 2 verbs to describe what happened to my heart. So when I have 2 verbs in the same sentence describing the same subject or telling me something about the same subject, I say that is a compound verb. Frank drove home from work. He showered, took a shower, and then walked over to Julie's house, mashallah. Now, Frank drove. Drove is the verb. So what did Frank do? He what? First, he drove. So drove is the first verb. Then he showered. Showered is the second verb. Then he walked over. Walked over is the last verb. So in this sentence, we have 3 verbs that describe what Frank did. Therefore, we call this sentence as a sentence with compound verbs, 3 compound verbs, okay? Not only the verbs can be compound, but also the subjects. Sometimes we have more than one subject to the sentence. Like Sarah and Mary enjoyed the party. So who enjoyed the party? Not one person, but 2 persons, Sarah and Mary. So when I have 2 subjects, I call it a compound subject. Psychology and history are my favorite subjects. So what are my favorite subjects? The answer is psychology and history. The answer is psychology and history. Therefore, that's what I call a compound subject. The radio and the tape player were stolen from Clyde's car. So what was stolen from Clyde's car? 2 things, radio and the tape player. Therefore, that's again a compound subject. Now, in other sentences, you may have more in the same sentence, more than one subject. Therefore, I would have a compound subject and more than one verb. So I have a compound verb. So Dave and I prepared the report together and presented it to the class. So who prepared the report together? Dave and I. So Dave and I is a compound subject. Dave and I, what? We prepared and presented. So we did 2 things, 2 verbs, 2 actions. The first one is a prepared, the second one is a presented. So that's what we call the compound verb. Judy, Carol, and Will met for lunch together and then went to a movie. So who met and went to a movie? Who? Judy, Carol, and Will. 3 people. So that's a compound subject. What did they do? They what? Met, then went. They did 2 things, met and went. Therefore, met and went are compound verbs. They are compound verbs. Now, I think this is the last practice we have, or the one before the last one. Okay. It says draw a single line under subjects and a double line under verbs. Be sure to mark off all the subjects and verbs. Okay. The mother and daughter wore identical outfits. Yani the mother and her daughter, they wore the same clothes, same jackets or t-shirts or whatever. I love to do that always with my daughter. Now, who wore identical outfits? Mother and daughter. What is that? A compound subject. They what? Wore. So wore is the verb. So in the first sentence, we have a compound subject but we have one verb. In the second sentence, many people laughed and cried during the movie. Who laughed and cried during the movie? People. So people is the subject. Now what do I say about they? They what? Laughed and cried. So I have two verbs here. That is a compound verb. Tuna and dolphins were trapped in the fisherman's net. So who were trapped or what were trapped? Tuna and dolphins. That's a compound subject. They what? Were trapped. Here it's not a compound verb. Pay attention, please. Here it's one verb, but it has two words, but not two actions. Two words for the verb, which is helping verb and main verb. The hospital will serve you. What will serve you? The hospital. So hospital is the subject. The hospital will what? Will serve you coffee, your meals. So will serve is the verb will from modals family and serve from the main verb. Do I call this compound verb? No, it's one verb, but from two words, will serve. But if it would say the hospital will serve you and give you. So if we have give here, then we will have a compound verb. The first 100 people at the theater will be admitted. So who will be admitted? People. So people is the subject. People what? Will be admitted. Will be admitted is the verb, but it's not compound. And be given, I forgot to highlight be given. Now it becomes now a compound verb because we have will be admitted, be given. Two verbs here, so it becomes compound verb. The last sentence, my sister and I often play games like Monopoly and chess. So, who plays games like Monopoly and chess? My sister and I. So, my sister and I are the subject, the compound subject of the sentence. My sister and I what? Play. So, play is the verb of the sentence. Okay? You do the rest of the exercise. Now review test, that's like a test in order for yourself, in order to evaluate the amount of your understanding. Did you understand like really well or what? Draw one line under the subjects, okay? And two lines under the verbs. Cross out the prepositional phrases where needed to help find subjects. Underline all the parts of a verb. And remember that you may find more than one subject and verb in a sentence. Let's do the first 5 sentences. I did not hear about the cancellation of the class. So let's begin with removing, crossing out the prepositional phrases. Where is the preposition here? About. Remove about with its complement, تكملتها. So about the cancellation, this is the first prepositional phrase. We have another preposition of with its complement of the class. Remove it all, cancel it. What are you left with? I did not hear. Who did not hear? I. I what? Did not hear. The verb is did and hear. Remove the highlight from not. It's wrong. Not should not be included in the verb. James should have gotten an estimate from the plumber. Who should have gotten an estimate? James. So James is the subject. What do I say about him? He what? Should have gotten. That's a verb. Should from the modals family, have from have family, gotten verb 3 from get, which belongs to the main verbs, action verbs. The family played badminton and volleyball at the picnic. There are 2 sports. Who played? Family. So family is the subject. The family what? Played. They what? They played. So played is the verb. Okay. طبعا at the picnic is a prepositional phrase that you can remove and cancel. Okay. From the plumber is a prepositional phrase in sentence 2 that you can remove and cancel. A solution to the problem popped suddenly into my head. Do we have a prepositional phrases? Yes. 2. And it's noun. To the problem. Remove it. We have another prepositional phrase in sentence 4. Into. Into my head. Cross it out. The sentence will be left as the following. A solution popped suddenly. So what popped suddenly? Solution. Therefore, solution is the subject. It what? It popped. So popped is the verb. Finally, the last sentence. The game has been postponed because of bad weather. So of bad weather is a prepositional phrase. We cross it out. Now, what has been postponed? Game. The game what? It what? Has been postponed. Has from have family, followed by verb 3 been, followed by the main verb postponed. Okay, so that's all for today. Let's sum up what we have learned together. First of all, we learned that any sentence should include a subject or a verb, otherwise your sentence is a wrong sentence. We get to know the subject in the sentence by asking who or what, and then what the sentence says about this subject is the verb. Now, we said that if we cross all out the prepositional phrases from the sentence, this makes your job easier to specify, to decide where the subject is and where the verb is. Then we said that we may have more than one word in the verb, like if we have a helping verb like should and then followed by a main verb, should study or is writing. So it can be more than one word if we have this combination of helping verb and the main verb. And then we said we may have more than one subject for the verb. That's what we call compound subject. Or we may have more than one verb, so we call it a compound verb. That's all for today. Please do all the exercises in your book from page 3 until page 10. I did 5 sentences in each exercise. Kindly do the rest of them. Our lesson for tomorrow's class will be sentence fragments. Best of luck. يعطيكم العافية. Thank you for watching. Take care and goodbye.